Da 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 da. Hey, I'm Kamurai. That's Ivory and CT back there. Hey, Avery. How are you? Um, so I have not been doing a lot of board gaming lately. I've been trying to make more time to do important things and then try to enjoy life at the most minimal. And being a victim of Steam sales and just everything, I was like, I realized I need to start playing some games. So I need to go through and start playing some of the smaller games and just get them checked off the list that I at least attempted to use them, and then maybe other people I'm sharing my account with can use them. And that's not I'm giving my password away; it's that I'm using the family sharing. Um, so real quick, we'll run through some of the ones that I was playing live on Twitch. I think I'm going to start doing this either Friday or Saturday, depending upon how I can stomach it. And I'm going to Twitch live and then export it over to YouTube, which is kind of a pain in the ass on its own, because your options are to split it into 15-minute chunks or 2-hour chunks. And it's kind of stupid, especially because if you have a 2 hour, or if you have 2 hour and 20 minutes of video, then it uploads the 20 minutes first and then uploads the 2 hours. I need to see if I can set it to load to export to private, and then I can release it, and then it'll come out in the right order, because the last one I did is all so I started with cat lateral damage because actually, hold on. I went back. I got someone else introduced to the game. Buddy Kevin. We finally went through it and we went exploring. He helped me clear out some of this dungeon. We started stripping it, and then we kind of went up to the overworld and explored a little bit. He's got to play it on his own a little bit, I think, to get some of the exploratory stuff, because we started out with some equipment one because we were going into a mine and I didn't want to go in naked. But that's it's definitely a great thing to get people involved in. If you get a nice little community going and you actually play together, it's one of the best gaming experiences I've ever done. But I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't feel like that's how people want to play, and that's fine, I guess. But then when I started doing like, hey, let's play some of these things, I played cat lateral damage. I was really excited about this because I really liked the demo. And when I went on the options, I was like, oh, why wouldn't I increase my FOV? And then I increased the mouse sensitivity because I didn't like that I was taking so long to turn to find new things to knock off, especially being on a time limit. And just thinking about it, about that experience, I'm actually getting motion sick. So like I'm going to have PTSD from cat lateral damage. It's a fantastic game. I totally encourage people to play it, but see if it bothers you, and if it does, stop playing when you notice that, or change their settings if you can, because it will fuck you up. Like I was so nauseated, I immediately had to go to the bathroom, and then after that, I sat down and I ended up watching. Well, it was for at least the time period of Repo the Genetic Opera, because that was on in the background before I sat up and did anything else. Oh, fuck. Okay, we gotta move on. And then I went to Reus, Reus, Reus. I was really excited about this when I saw it. And I didn't really understand it, but I was like, okay, it looks cool. I like the general concept. Let me go. So I didn't really know enough about the actual gameplay, so I called it a blind play. And it really felt like that, because you spend the whole time growing civilizations and whatnot. And there's all these little achievements you can unlock. It reminded me a lot of FTL. I don't like that I have to put my godlike powers through these 4 agents. It's really annoying. You can't settle in the mountains or the sea immediately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to try to make entire worlds of things to see if I can play with it. And we'll see how that turns out, because I don't know if you can actually do that or not. it said you could make a fishing village, so I think you actually can do that, but you have to have enough water present for the village to actually raise up, because the little area of water that crab makes is not very big. So I definitely want to go back and try things with it. I don't know if I'll stream it or not. But I definitely want to go back and play around with it because it has some really interesting features. Starseed Pilgrim. I think I got this on a Humble Bundle. I really had no idea what it was. I got into it. I had no idea how to play it. It doesn't give you very good instructions. It's this little platform adventure game that's super abstract, and fuck that game. I did some research on it, some of it during the video, and apparently, like, it's really involved. If you can learn how to grow things properly, then when you go to the Dark World, you can collect keys and stars, and then that'll let you plant things in your garden, which will let you explore out into the rest of the world, and you can actually find other planets and grow things there. It'll let you explore. It's really basic and repetitive, and I get the preposterous message of the game, and glad they made a buck off that, but no. That's a game I could have made. I don't know how long it would have taken me to make it. I certainly wouldn't have looked like that. So I'm glad they made $1, but I feel bad for everyone who bought it. If they enjoyed it, more is the better. But Thomas Was Alone. I really enjoyed Thomas is Alone. The story is fantastic. The problem is that I don't enjoy 2D platformers anymore. It takes a very particular game for me to enjoy playing in a 2D platform setting, like Towerfall. Because that's not the point. Is not to do it, and that's the most frustrating thing about Towerfall is the 2D platforming, and that was what was frustrating about Thomas is Alone. It's like, oh, I figured out how to do it. Now I actually have to do it. I much more enjoy slower paced tactical games where I'm like, oh, you do this, and then I tell them to do that, and then hopefully they do it or they succeed at doing it, because there's always a case of failure. And I'll circle back to that here in just a minute. But Thomas Alone is a wonderful game. It took me about 3 hours to complete it. I would suggest everyone play that game. If you're not into platformers, that's okay. There's 2 story arcs. I think the first one was about the 2 hours, and the second one was about an hour. And it's really compelling to look at a non-human universe. Home improvisation. I have to blame Rooster Teeth for some of my games that I have, and this is one of those. I really thought it looked fun. I was like, oh, well, there's got to be a better way to do it. No, there's not. Their video was completely accurate in how absurd it is to try to put this shit together. You can't do it good. That's the whole point of it. The point of it is to fail at putting it together. And the fact that they don't give you the box to look at. I don't need the instructions. Just give me an idea of what it's supposed to look like in the end. That bothered me a lot. So to me, it's a failure of a game just because, like, why would you do it? Why would you? I mean, like, it's the point of the game is how you can't play it, then that's fucked up. I would say that borders on unethical, but apparently enough people actually enjoy the game. So I guess who am I to question that? The next one, I really want to go back and do it, but I don't, because it seems like I play Gary's mod with people who've been asking me to play Gary's mod, and I can get better experience out of it. But Besiege, you're supposed to build things to tear down things, to attack castles and villages and whatnot. And dealing with mines, like, the game's just not very helpful. It's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Where there's a couple scenarios where I think you're supposed to build a catapult of some kind, and it doesn't tell you you should be building a catapult. It just says, do the thing. And you're like, what? So there's nothing to help you realize that, hey, there are hinges you can use to actually create an arm. to make the arm of the catapult. There's nothing that tells you that you can make buckets somehow, and I don't know how you do that even. So it was like, oh, okay, I guess we're making some kind of weird car. Unless you pick like a very certain wheel, you've got to create like the motor and everything all together. It's a very strange game. Obviously, I went and looked. Then I saw lots of pictures of machines that people have made. Obviously, people have gotten really into it and gotten really good at it, and that's good to hear, because I think it's an excellent game. I think it's an engineer's game. So if you have kids that like to play that game, don't get mad because they're tearing stuff up. Be impressed because they're building things that, quite honestly, it involves understanding of physics too. Whether or not they actually understand physics, they're understanding it enough to make these things. The last game I want to talk about real quick, Grow Home. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here today because I am feeling kind of sick. I'm going to lay down and go to sleep. Grow Home. This is one I saw on How To with Adam and Joel at Rooster Teeth. And so it's two people playing a controller like this. They're probably using a Sleeker S1 or whatever. But the majority of the game is doing this. So one person's holding this one and one person's holding this side. They have to coordinate that. So impressed with those two that they were able to do that at all, let alone for how long they did. And they got most of the way through the game. I'll be honest. Probably about halfway at least, because they got to that big floating island. And I'll be honest, by the time I got there and I had 60 crystals, I was like, screw this. Because you just get tired. Like, my hands were sweating. They're starting to sweat now, just having flashbacks of this. And my hands are starting to hurt. And they're actually sore. That's ridiculous. The muscles right here, and under here. I have no idea why, but I was doing that for 4.5 hours continuously. And then you get weird things. Like, he walks like a drunkard. You can't control his walking properly. So it's better to jump around if you can. But then he has momentum stuff, and you can't stop the momentum problems because you have to walk to do that. And then his walking doesn't react properly. And then about half the time, once you get to the later stages and the terrain's more complex, you have trouble gripping on stuff, especially when you're flying through the air. Because you actually have reticles for them, and if the reticles aren't lined up on the terrain, and it's the right terrain, it won't do it. Because there's actually places where you can't grip. I have no idea why, but you can't. And so there's a couple of minerals placed where you literally have to jump or glide to it and grab onto the crystal in order to get it. And I got all but 24 or 26, I can't remember, crystals, and then I got one of the seeds, the one they showed you at the end. So I didn't 100% the game, but I got to the end of the story, the main story, and went into the bonus story and was just kind of like, nah, I'm done. I don't know. I don't think I plan on going back and doing it. It was a lot of little frustrations with the game. And it was a game that deserves, honestly, because it's such a good concept and such a fresh, innovative game, that I thought it belonged with Journey Unfinished Swan. But because of the problems I had with it and just how fucking tired I was by the time I ended up playing, I finished playing it, I was like, no, I can't say it's a great game like those. I have to say it's a good game at best. There's a whole scanning thing too, so it's got a lot of replayability to it, where you can go through and you're like, if you like hunting achievements and stuff, there's all the achievements to get. There's the crystals to find, there's the seeds to find, there's all the items to scan. You never have a game over, because every time you die, you respawn at the teleporters. Mom just brings you back. Because the punishment of having to go back to the teleporter is plenty. The vines from the plant are really impossible to just walk. You have to. There's places you're going to have to climb. They're incredibly hard to control when you're growing them. So there's a couple times where like I lost complete control, and I was just going where the plant wanted to go, and I have no idea why the plant wanted to go the places it wanted to go, because it wasn't going towards the food, which was the energy rock, and it wasn't going towards the sun. It was just like, let me go down here. And then, so I had a couple where I actually ended up spiraling. And then I had to wait for it to stop so I could grow another one off of it and just go towards the goal again. I really wanted to love that game because it looked so fascinating. And it is fascinating. I'm not going to say it's not. But it just I can't put it up there with those other ones. Because I bought a PS3 so that I could play Unfinished Swan. And while I had that, I was like, I'm definitely getting Journey. There's no way. I don't think if Grow Home was on the PSN network that I would have thrown that on there as well. Yeah. But that's really all I've been up to. It's mostly this weekend. I'm going to try to make sure that I'm better scheduled for next week. Sunday here again. I'm actually early today because I want to go to bed. But we will do our best to make sure that we get some more gaming in one way or the other between now and then. And until next time, you'll see me then. I am Kamurai. Bye.